It's been 36 years since the Chinese Communist regime turned its tanks on unarmed students calling for democracy in Beijing. Today, the CCP still bans all mention of the protest inside China. But every year on June 4th, countries around the world remember the tragedy now known as the Tiananmen Square massacre. Secretary of State Marco Rubio issued a statement today to, quote, commemorate the courage of the innocent people killed and imprisoned that day. He added that freedom, democracy, and self-rule are human principles the CCP cannot erase. Joining us now is Congresswoman Young Kim. She's a member of the House Select Committee to counter the Chinese Communist Party. And in 2023, she led a bipartisan resolution to remember the victims of the Tiananmen Square massacre. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us. Great to have you. Talk to us about why it's so important to remember the events of that day.
Sure. As you noted, 36 years ago, we had freedom-loving, pro-democracy students protesting in the Tiananmen Square, calling for freedom, democracy, and human rights. But what they were met with was the brutal military attack by the CCP and arresting them in hundreds and hundreds of people, taking their lives. It really showed what CCP is capable of. 36 years later today, it has not improved. In fact, CCP has continued to suppress its own people. There is massive surveillance. There is censorship. They commit genocide against ethnic minorities in China, like Uyghur population, Uyghur Muslims specifically, and also they persecute Falun Gong practitioners. They even put Hong Kong pro-democracy protesters in jail. I mean, if they can do that to their own people, I wonder what they can do to us, which is why freedom-loving countries like in the United States, which value and put high premium on human rights, we need to remember what happened 36 years ago and continue to call out Xi Jinping and its Chinese Communist Party for suppressing its own people's rights, freedom of speech, and freedom of assembly.
Expanding on that, Congresswoman, lately we're hearing calls from the Trump administration for China to rebalance and open up its economy. Now, remembering the events that went down on June 4th, 1989, how likely is Communist China to commit to change in good faith this time around?
Well, I think we've learned that China is not a good actor that works in good faith. We need to be clear-eyed on who we are dealing with. So we need to continue to call out on its suppression of its people. They surveil people all across the country. So we need to continue to speak out. And I am glad that as a policymaker, I'm able to work on legislation to do exactly that and work on policies and bring the people together to call out China, continue to do so.
Talk to us about the Fortifying U.S. Markets from Chinese Military Aggression Act. What steps does the U.S. need to take to protect American firms in that event of an invasion on Taiwan?
Well, we need to protect, look, we have a vested interest in keeping Taiwan safe from the aggression, and before Xi Jinping acts on his own words, he wants to attack and take over Taiwan by 2027. It's just around the corner. So we have an obligation to provide what Taiwan has already paid for, providing them with the arms, the weapons that they purchase and pay for so that they can be prepared to defend themselves. We also need to make sure that the world knows how important Taiwan is to us. Taiwan matters, as you mentioned, because of the TSMC, and it's the largest advanced semiconductor producer in the world. So the global economy will be affected greatly if China overtakes Taiwan. So we need to do everything we can to ensure that that doesn't happen, and we need to work with our allies and partners in the region to ensure that Taiwan is supported by freedom-loving countries. It is such an important flashpoint in the Indo-Pacific.
And Congresswoman, I want to dig into one of your earlier points about the Trump-Xi call. What are you expecting to come out of that, especially in regards to trade and Chinese student visas?
So I know Secretary Rubio and State Department has just announced that they will be revoking a lot of the student visas, and it applies to students from China and Hong Kong. Obviously, the intent is to strengthen the vetting process for the student visas from China, especially because, you know, they come here to be educated in our fine institutions, and they focus on studying, receiving graduate and PhDs in STEM field, science, technology, engineering, and math. And now they're not just getting these for, you know, if this, again, it's different if you are coming to the United States to study music, dance, and entertainment. That's one thing. But when they come and get those degrees in STEM field, and we do not allow them to stay here and innovate and become entrepreneurs, they have to go back, and they will be probably employed by the Chinese government, and they will be utilizing the education that we provided them, perhaps to work against us. So it is really important that we vet the process for anyone who's coming from China, to properly vet them so that there is no national security threat. So we're doing this to protect our U.S. national security and economy. And I think we need to do this, you know, protecting our national security. It should not be done on the backs of, you know, Asian American community, and also on those already properly vetted international students, because there is a lot of confusion and uncertainty.
As we often hear, the Chinese people are the biggest victims of the Chinese Communist Party, to your example right here with the Chinese students. But Congresswoman Yang Kim, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.